Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your next smartphone or tablet could cost significantly more than what you paid last year. The reason? A trade war that's heating up between two of the world's biggest economies, China and the United States. With new tariffs being imposed, the tech industry is feeling the pressure, and those costs are about to trickle down to you, the consumer. But just how bad will it get? And more importantly, is there any way out of this escalating situation? Stay tuned because we're breaking it all down in detail. The United States has imposed steep tariffs on China, directly impacting the tech industry, where most big brands manufacture their products. China has retaliated with tariffs of its own, creating a ripple effect across global markets. As a result, we're already seeing companies adjust their pricing strategies, passing increased costs onto consumers. For instance, Acer, a major manufacturer of laptops and consumer electronics, has already announced a 10% increase in pricing across many of its products. Apple, while not officially attributing its price adjustments to the tariffs, has notably kept base model prices stable, but increased the cost of upgrades like additional RAM and storage. That means if you want a more powerful device, you're paying more than ever before. Other companies are expected to follow suit as supply chains feel the squeeze. The impact isn't limited to just the United States. Other countries like Canada and European nations are feeling the squeeze as well. In Canada, for example, the weaker currency makes US-based tech products even more expensive, adding another layer to the price hikes consumers are experiencing. Many companies aren't outright blaming the trade war for these changes, but it would be naive to think these economic tensions aren't playing a significant role in the rising costs. But why is the world so dependent on China for its tech manufacturing in the first place? The answer lies in efficiency, cost effectiveness, and a long history of industrial development. China has spent decades perfecting its manufacturing and supply chain systems, allowing it to produce high-quality electronics at unmatched scale and cost. Their massive factories, skilled workforce, and advanced infrastructure make them the go-to destination for global tech companies. In simple terms, China has mastered the art of large-scale manufacturing in ways that other countries struggle to match. However, recent geopolitical tensions have forced companies to rethink their reliance on China. Tech giants like Apple and Google have already begun shifting some production to countries like Vietnam and India, where labor costs are lower and political risks are reduced. China's rising wages and increasing tensions with the US have accelerated this shift. But completely moving away from China isn't an easy task. It's not just about factories. China's entire supply chain is deeply integrated, making it incredibly difficult for companies to find viable alternatives that offer the same level of efficiency and speed. This raises the question, could other countries, like Canada, step up and become major players in tech manufacturing? The idea sounds promising, but the reality is much more complicated. Decades ago, many countries, including Canada, moved away from large-scale manufacturing, opting instead to rely on cheaper overseas production. Rebuilding those capabilities would require massive capital investments, making domestically produced smartphones and gadgets significantly more expensive and possibly lower in quality compared to established manufacturing giants. But there is one area where Canada could have a major competitive edge: critical minerals. The world runs on rare earth minerals, 17 essential elements used in everything from batteries to computer chips. These minerals are vital for making the smartphones and gadgets we use every day, and Canada happens to have some of the world's largest deposits. Right now, China dominates the mining, processing, and distribution of rare earth minerals, giving them a stronghold on global tech production. But if Canada can tap into its own resources and develop the infrastructure to extract and refine these minerals at scale, it could position itself as a crucial supplier in the global tech industry. This wouldn't just reduce dependence on China, but could also boost Canada's economy significantly. However, tapping into Canada's rare earth resources is not as simple as just digging them up. Mining these minerals requires specialized expertise, enormous investments in extraction and refinement technology, and a long-term strategy for sustainable development. Environmental concerns also come into play, as mining and processing rare earth minerals can have significant ecological impacts. Without a clear governmental push and industry investment, Canada's mineral wealth remains largely untapped. But if executed correctly, this could be a game changer. Additionally, there's an increasing push to develop more localized supply chains in North America. The United States and Canada have been in discussions about forming partnerships that would allow for a more secure and self-sufficient supply of essential materials. This could mean incentives for companies to establish mining, processing, and manufacturing operations within North America, reducing reliance on overseas production. However, these efforts take time, and while progress is being made, we are still years away from seeing a significant shift. Meanwhile, consumers are left grappling with higher prices and limited alternatives. While some may choose to delay upgrading their devices, others may have no choice but to absorb the additional costs. This raises another important question. Should governments step in to regulate prices or subsidize certain industries to offset the impact of tariffs? Some experts argue that intervention could help stabilize the market, while others warn that such measures could further distort competition and create unintended consequences. So, what does all this mean for you? Prices on tech gadgets are likely to keep rising as trade tensions escalate, and companies scramble to adapt. The cost of innovation is climbing, and consumers will bear the brunt of these global economic battles. But behind the scenes, a bigger battle is brewing, one that could reshape the entire tech industry. Will the world break free from its dependence on China? Or will the rising costs force us to accept the status quo? Can Canada and other nations step up to challenge China's dominance? Or is it already too late? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about rising tech prices? Are you willing to pay more for gadgets made outside China? Don't forget to subscribe for more updates on how global events are shaping your everyday life.